What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, and we're back to go through some Fleetwood Mac. That's right, we're going to start going through another artist. I wanted to give a big shout out to friend and champion of the channel, Elyssia. I hope I'm saying that right. Sometimes you see a name and you're not quite sure. But yeah, she has been a friend of the channel since I started going through Aha, offered a lot of great and insightful comments. She eventually shared the MTV Unplugged Summer Solstice with me, which I'm still going through, and now that I actually finished True North, I'm circling back to that and I'm going to focus on that. But a few months ago, she also sent me Fleetwood Mac's Rumours album. I don't think it was in an Aha video, but I mentioned a little while back when I was talking about my vinyl, which, you know, for anyone new here, I have a lot of techno vinyl, I listen to a lot of punk rock. I eventually, after doing DJ mixes on YouTube for years, I started doing reactions, initially through techno and punk rock reactions, then I started branching out, and eventually people started sending me music, and this has grown into a much bigger thing. But I mentioned in some video that I had, at one point, a vinyl copy of this album, which I remembered, you know, I knew it was from the mid-70s. I didn't know a whole lot about Fleetwood Mac, but I knew who Stevie Nicks was, and I remembered hearing or reading at some point that this album is seen as like a landmark album in their career. But for whatever reason, I eventually lost the vinyl. I think it was in one of my moves. I lost the box, which had a lot of CDs in it. I think it had some records in it too. And bottom line, I haven't seen the record in a long time. And like I said, a few months ago, Elyssia sent it over, so not only thank you for that, but thank you for the patience. I'm getting so many different things from people, it's just hard to go through everything, and now that there's maybe 70 or something deep dives active, it does get more challenging. But again, for anyone new, I go through albums, and in some cases entire discographies, in chronological order. I just listen to the tunes, you know, going through an album, sometimes with bonus tracks or B-sides, then we go on to the next album, and so on. So in this case, I realized we're starting well into their catalog, and indeed I checked on Discogs just to make sure I had it right. Apparently they started mid-60s, I think 67. Stevie Nicks comes in 74, so a couple years before this album, which is 76, and if I saw it right, this is their 11th studio album. So obviously there's a lot of mileage, a lot of tunes, and a lot of sound crafting with some other different people before this. But as I said, my understanding, based on some vague memories of reading things and, you know, hearing people talk about it, is that this is a really important album in their catalog. So yeah, bottom line, we're just going to go through the whole thing. So once more, shout out to Elyssia, I really do appreciate it. And the first track on the album is called Secondhand News. And again, for anyone new here, if I'm listening to a tune that I haven't heard before, or first of all, if I listen to a tune I do know, then I usually just talk about the lyrics for a minute or two, not in any definitive way, just, you know, here's the way I've understood the song, or here's the way I've interpreted it over time. If I'm listening to a tune that I haven't heard, or at least don't think I've heard, every once in a while a tune will start and it's like, oh, wait a minute, I know this track. But if I'm listening to a tune I don't know, I'll usually just think about the title for a minute, what themes or ideas it maybe suggests, and again, in an even more speculative way, but just as a way to get my brain working so that if I hear a particular lyric which fits with one of those ideas, like, oh wait, okay, so now I can kind of chart that a little more readily, given that it's something that I considered. But Secondhand News, it speaks to hearsay, rumors, indeed, the idea of getting information which perhaps might be true, or perhaps might be true in part, or at least relate to some concept which is an approximation of what has been told, but you are ultimately getting it on the authority of somebody else, meaning, you know, this person is passing along information that they heard from someone, so it's not a direct report, you're not looking at the direct evidence yourself. And obviously rumors can have an effect, even if they are untrue, meaning, you know, someone's perception can be skewed or swayed without good cause just because of what they've heard about someone else, maybe through someone that is not sympathetic. So rumors, you know, they're a powerful thing in the world of society and culture and social networks, and even, you know, families and interpersonal relationships. So yeah, I feel like Secondhand News ties right into the concept of the album, which makes, you know, perfect sense as a way to compose the record. So let's hear it. This is Fleetwood Mac. The tune is Secondhand News, and it's the first track on their 1976 album Rumours.
When times go bad, when times go rough, won't you lay me down in the
Number one, I love that flare up and little solo, but you know, for anyone new here, I do often talk about fade out endings, and you know, sometimes they can be more appropriate. Often, if they're more gradual, I'm more okay with them than the quick drop off, and that was a pretty quick drop off. But yeah, my qualms about the fade out there when the guitar is just wailing it, notwithstanding, really cool opening tune, a bit more fun and groovy than I was expecting, given my speculations about secondhand news and rumors. But it's interesting because I'm thinking about information, but he's saying like I'm just secondhand news, which that's an interesting phrase. I wasn't thinking about it as a a representation of a person's feeling about the trajectory of their life or the state of their life, perhaps. But yeah, really cool tune sonically. Again, a couple times where I wasn't even sure what I was hearing. Is that a guitar, or is that? I thought it was maybe like a violin or a fiddle or something like that. So, and it's interesting because my very little understanding of maybe this album and its reputation, and maybe Fleetwood Mac's reputation overall, is that they're somewhat in the pop rock type of vein, perhaps with some country or other influences, but yeah, maybe, I don't quite know if that's an accurate understanding. And surely over time, they evolve, they expand, they do some different things. So, perhaps at this point in time, maybe that label would be more relevant, but before and or after, maybe it's less relevant. Again, we'll discover all of this and more surely as people comment and as I go through the remainder of the album. Once again, shout out to Elyssia. I really do appreciate this, and I apologize. It's just so hard to get to everything. It did take a couple months, but we're here now. So, in any case, let me know what you think of this one. I will see you next time. Peace.